You see your contract?
I have not.
I just said, I wish you had.
Or you're kidding me. Nine more. Yeah. We got to.
115.
You know what it is? Thing to.
So much for the no new spending.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey Jack,
Hey, Dr. Smith, how are you?
can you see me, hear me?
You can hear me. That's Tarvin.
Who's on the left, David? The P.
Yeah,
David.
David. Yeah.
Jack, you got that? I ain't been out of the house in 2 weeks. Beard growing there, going.
I know. Well, nobody has to shave. We can go out to eat somewhere.
That's right. I actually shaved mine off 2 days ago. I had it going pretty good there. That whole scruffy look.
It's crazy. Crazy. Everybody's trying to just stay occupied.
Yeah. Well, shave it off for the work session.
A lot of yard work.
I'm ready to get back to regular work so I can quit doing all the honeydew things that Roxanne's killing me with. We've been tearing down wallpaper, repainting bathrooms, and you name it.
Oh, Lord.
Well, we got about 3 minutes, so we'll get started. Hopefully, I think most everybody's going to join us on phone. I think there's Avis. Hey.
Yeah, or she just muted your mic. Yeah, can you mute your mic, Avis?
Sure.
Yeah, we just muted Avis. Getting an echo thing going here.
Hey, Walker.
Hey, Dr. Smith.
You see my email?
Oh, I hadn't looked at it. I can.
Yeah, well, just after the meeting, just take a look at it. I sent it out about an hour ago to the principals. Y'all kind think about how we're going to do the grading, what you and I talked about earlier.
Okay, I ended up calling Perry later and we discussed it some as well.
Okay. Yeah, we just need to be consistent with it.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I wanted to give you a call. I think that we probably need to do something, add it in the 39 weeks. That way it doesn't count just as much as the other 39 weeks. If we count.
Yeah, that sounds probably better, but just whatever everybody think, gets a chance to weigh in on it. And then we just, like I said, we need to be consistent.
I agree.
There's going to be some point in time that we're all going to look back on this time period and just kind of laugh about it, aren't we?
I hope so.
Golly, that was a crazy time, wasn't it?
Maybe so.
If we ever get back to normal, whatever normal is going to be.
Yeah.
Mariam?
Yeah.
Hey, Dewar.
How y'all doing?
Good.
I don't know. I don't have a screen, but anyway,
You don't have a screen to look at, Dewar?
I do not. I can.
Hey, Linda. Hey, Mitch.
Hey, how are y'all?
We good.
That's supposed to be up there.
Hi, Dr. Todd.
Hello, how are y'all doing?
Good to see you.
You as well.
Y'all kind of maneuvered. behind
David,
me
thank you for putting the agenda up there.
Yeah.
We had a meeting.
What we look on.
Well, see, David has got the agenda up there, so he's taking up.
Oh, I see.
Hey, Linda.
Hi.
I've got 7 o'clock, but whenever you want to call it to order.
Hello, Linda.
Yes.
This is Glenn. I'm trying to find my mute on my phone here. It's not giving me a prompt.
Are you on your telephone?
I'm on my cell. Yes.
And did you dial in by telephone?
Yes. Oh, let me see.
You should be able to use your regular mute then.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna hang up and do it again. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna hang up and do it again. Okay. What it is. Okay, here it is. Wait a minute. Mute. There it is.
She must have got it. I think she did.
I guess I'm back.
I hear you.
All right, I've got 7 p.m. I'd like to call us to order. I'd like to take a roll call to see which board members are present. Deward, you're there. I see you.
Right.
Jack?
When I put it on mute, it didn't show anything.
Jack Saucy? Chip Griner?
I'm here.
Thank you. Mitch, I see you, right? Thank you. Jack, I thought I saw Jack earlier. I don't see him now.
earlier.
Davis is listening in? Okay. Let's watch for Jack to return so we can know whether or not to count him present. If any of y'all catch him, let me know. I don't see him. Okay. So we are called to order. Mitch, would you lead us in an invocation, please?
Sure. Bow your heads, let's pray. Thy Heavenly Father God, we once again come to you on behalf of not just ourselves and our own personal families, but we come to you on behalf of an entire school district. Each school we ask you to bless during this time that is so uncertain and certainly unprecedented. We just ask you to continue to bless our teachers, our principals, our assistant principals, everyone involved in our school system, our students. Just continue to drive us through it like you have. Continue to bless us. And Lord, we just ask that during this time we don't lose the opportunity to show you in and through everything that we say and do. That's our prayer for this meeting tonight as well. In Jesus' name. Amen.
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 If you would each please stand and let's recite the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm back, guys.
Thank you, Jack. Welcome back. I'd like to point out to y'all that this evening's agenda was modified during the day today. David, if you could scroll down to the items for discussion, item 8. Looking for David to help us. In any case, we have added an 8B, which is the school system status during this shutdown. That's the only change we've had to the agenda since it was published prior to spring break. So with that note, I'll take a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
Second.
Who was that second from?
Mitch.
Mitch. So I took Deward and Mitch. All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item is to approve the consent agenda, of which there are only 2 items on here, and that's the minutes from the previous meeting and a non-resident application. Take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved.
I'll take that from Jack. May I have a second?
Second. Mitch.
Thank you, and thank you for identifying yourself. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, which is a budget discussion.
Yeah, Levance is here with me, and at our work session, our last work session, we talked in detail about the budget process. Not a lot has changed about that, but we did want to come back in tonight's meeting and focus in a little bit on the capital projects in the SPLOST area. So Levance is going to talk to us and present some information on specific to the capital projects. And then we need a little bit of direction tonight going forward on a couple of these projects that have already been approved. But I'm going to turn it over to Levance at this time. Levance?
Okay, just, I didn't know if the board had any questions or anything that they wanted to discuss from what we've already talked about regarding the general fund from our work meeting discussion. Were there anything that you guys wanted to review with that portion of the discussion?
I'm not hearing from anyone, Levance. It sounds like we're good.
Okay, then we'll go to the next piece. At our work meeting, we did not have the capital projects priority list up there that we referenced regarding 2 items. Dr. Smith in particular would like to bring for the board's consideration. There were several items on that list that the board had approved for us to look at for using the capital projects fund. One of them was a covered walkway at Midway Elementary School. The other one is a resurfacing the track with a rubber surface. The covered walkway was estimated at a $100,000 project. The resurfacing of the track, a $200,000 project. And basically what we're needing to do is get some guidance from the board if you want to proceed with these 2 projects, or if you do not want to proceed with them at this time. The reason we need to get some guidance is just the time it takes to put the bid specs together, get a bid out, get the bids back, get them approved, and then try to do them during the summer. This is getting to be about as late as we can wait if we do want to proceed with those two projects. But that's kind of it in a nutshell, and now we can have some open discussion.
Well, and let me, before I open it up to certainly questions, and to kind of extend what Vance has said, we all know the circumstances that we're in right now. And we've all, in what the way we're approaching things, which I think, and we all think is the most prudent, responsible way to approach things, is just let's just kind of see how and what the far-reaching effects of the circumstances are going to be going forward. The two projects that, after looking at them, they're all important, but these are the two that have the most direct student impact. Obviously, the covered walkway at Midway affects students and staff, and the track resurfacing certainly directly affects students. Not that the parking lot and some of these other items are not important, but the direct student impact are really evident on those two. And as like Levant said, if we're going to do them, we need to get them scheduled and bid out and scheduled for the work to be done over the summertime, so that they do not disrupt instruction when we do return to school, and we are going to return to school. I think everybody's very confident in that. And so, hopefully in August, with no interruption to our schedule, the time to do it and the time to do the work would be this summer. We just need to know if you guys are in agreement that we need to move forward on these two projects, or just keep them on hold.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Levance, I would like ask you to give us a little more information, because we have other people listening, and I'm not sure, David, if this is YouTubed for future people to listen. But could you please parse out for us? This does not come out of our general budget, but this is directly out of the SPLOST budget, right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. And initially, we didn't put this sheet out there because we were trying to focus on the general fund. But we did bring up the items as far as the track and the covered walkway. And so we needed to put this information out there for reference. So they are, you can think of them as two separate bank accounts. You've got your operating budget, your general fund, and you've got your capital projects funds. And most of ours is funded through SPLOST. So that's where our SPLOST receipts go. And that's also where as we built the high school, we spent bond payments out of capital projects. And as we got reimbursed from the Department of Education, we put that money back into capital projects. And that's how we kept our cash flow to build the new high school. So they're kind of like two different bank accounts for two different purposes.
So if we encounter financial difficulties next year as a result of this pandemic, we cannot use these SPLOST funds to supplement our financial difficulty we may encounter next year. Is that correct?
You cannot use SPLOST dollars for paying salaries and benefits and that kind of thing. There are items that, well, let me say this as a general rule. The capital projects, whatever the public approved in the SPLOST referendum, those items are things that we can spend SPLOST dollars on. And that's it. But excluded from that are salary and benefits of operating a school district. There are specific items that we currently fund in our general fund, like technology, buses, those kinds of things can be paid for out of SPLOST because they were approved by the voters. And so it could relieve some pressure on the general fund only in those areas that were specifically approved in the referendum.
Thank you for that clarification. That's what I wanted to hear. Board members, any discussion or questions on this issue?
I've got a question, and this may have already been covered, Madam Chair, but, and I may be uneducated, and if I am, I apologize, but if we approved this on last year's budget, why was this not done last year? Why are we looking to do this again this year?
Well, you guys approved a list of items that we could, that you wanted to see done. There were some items that were on the list that were taken off. The reason it's coming back up is we've gone into this very difficult situation where the economy has been shut down by the time it's all said and done for at least a quarter. And we know that that's going to affect our state funding, which will affect our general fund. And we also know that with the economy being shut down, it's going to affect our SPLOST income, which affects our capital projects and potentially could impact our ability to make bond payments. And that's where we pay our bond payments, is from our capital projects fund. So we're bringing it to you now because we want to be transparent with the board with concerns about the, it could be a difficult financial year coming up.
Other discussion?
Well,
Yeah, I've got a question.
yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Okay, let's take turns here. Let me call upon Deward first.
Okay.
Yeah, how do we stand in our capital projects fund right now with that?
Right now, we just received, we've been waiting on a $1.4 million final payment from the Georgia Department of Education. And we just received that. So that plus the residual that we had in there, we're in good shape. We've got over $2 million now in the capital projects fund.
We have a question here from, go ahead.
Well, I have one other one. Was the covered walkway, is it already in progress with that?
It's in progress from the standpoint that we were looking at trying to put pieces together. We updated the budget on it after Harlan talked with Dr. Todd, and so it's in progress in that it's on the table, but we have not put out bids or anything like that as of yet.
Okay.
I'd like to move then to Jack. Do you have questions, Jack?
I do. How does this, and I don't know which fund it comes from, but how does all this relate to anything that we do with the old high school? We've got these projects sitting out there, and potentially a really big project on the horizon. If the school is saved, which I think everybody knows how I feel about it, but if it is saved, where do those funds come from?
Those funds would have to come out of your capital projects or SPLOST funds.
And if the SPLOST doesn't have enough to fund it, then where does it come from?
I guess the board could transfer money from their from your reserve, but I'd like to express a great deal of caution about considering doing something right now with our reserve. We know, based on the way money comes to the state and then to us, that there is going to be a shortfall. The state has not been able to quantify that for us, but they are telling us that the next budget is going to be very challenging at best. And so our reserve is what keeps us operating. If they do cut us a lot of money, it may prevent us from having to impact our employees as far as their salaries. So we're in a pretty good position, probably as good a position as we could be in for what has happened to all of us. But that doesn't mean that if it's really bad that we might have to take other actions too. So I would ask the board to, at least through this next school year, not really move a lot of money from our reserve into capital projects. I think that would be a recipe for a potential train wreck.
Anything else, Jack?
No, I think that's my main concern, but moving forward with any projects right now, it's just where's the money coming from and can we count on it next year?
Move to Chip then. Chip, did you have questions?
Yes, ma'am. Levance, what would be the downside? What would be the downside of holding off on all the capital projects until maybe Christmas?
The only thing is, I think Midway Elementary, has been kind of asking for this for a while, and I think their staff is kind of excited about the potential of getting the cover put in. So disappointment. I think the same thing with the middle school. The middle school's expressed some concern about some of the asphalt coming loose on portions of that whole track and field area. They've expressed that it might be a safety concern. So those would be the things that might be expressed to you as, hey, we're not sure it's a good idea to wait, but from a financial standpoint, I don't think there's a big pro or con to do it now or wait.
Well, and then the availability of doing it over Christmas, this far out, it would increase the chances of to do it and have it done over Christmas. But that's the other thing with the covered walkway, trying to fit it into Christmas, trying to fit it into spring break this year, and it just has not worked out. And to keep disruption of the school operations, it ultimately, and I think the track's the same way, kind of falls into a summer project.
So it would either have to be this summer or a summer in the future because of the time it takes to do the project.
Well, the question I have is more on the line of financially. If we hold on and don't spend the money until sometimes in the future, would we be better financially, Levance, with the unknown?
Well, from the standpoint of the unknowns, I think you could make it a pretty good argument for it. And let me share this with you. With our economy on pause, our SPLOST dollars are going to be lower. If they get below $127,000 a month, that is not adequate to make our bond payment. So if we don't generate enough SPLOST to make the bond payment, the money has to come from somewhere. And where it would come from is, first place would be our SPLOST funds. And right now we're in good shape to do that. And we could do that for a period of time until the economy spins back up. So you could make the argument that having that money out there through all these unknowns would be a good thing, not a bad thing. But I also know there are things that our staff and the board wants to accomplish, and doing these two projects would not wipe out our funds in our capital projects. It's just a matter of if you want to do it now, or if you want to wait and see where we are as we start getting into next year and seeing what our funding looks like.
Right. Well, I would not want to disappoint anybody, but I certainly would. Running out of money would be a very big disappointment too.
It would.
Chip, is that all from you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mitch? Mitch, do you have questions or comments on this item?
No, I'm good. I've already said what I need to say.
Okay, good. This is sounding like we really can't get direction from the board unless we have a board action here, a vote. Dr. Smith, would you agree?
I have one more, Linda.
Okay.
If we went forward with this in advance, that would be 300,000, correct? Or less?
That is what we have budgeted is 300,000 for both projects. Yes, sir.
Well, how would that hurt tremendously if we did those two or not?
Well, it would just mean you would have at least $300,000 that you would not have to spend if you didn't do the projects.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at the amount of money that we have in there, if everything was operating normally and we were pulling in $153,000 to $160,000 a month, it would be, to me, very straightforward. We need to go ahead with these projects. Should we do it in the current situation? That's really just a decision of, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get these done, and then we'll see what the rest of things look like before we spend any more money. Or you may just decide at this point in time we want to hold off and see where we are once we get into the school year. Because we really don't know what the actual dollar impact either on the SPLOST or our general fund is going to be right now. We can't quantify it.
I'd like to ask for a motion to amend the agenda so that we can have an action item on this. Could I have that motion, please?
So moved, Jack.
Second, from Chip.
Thank you, Chip. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay. I'll make a recommendation that we approve these two items that have already been approved, but we will move to proceed with them. Can I have a motion to proceed with these two capital projects? You can always have a negative vote, guys. I'm hearing a silence on my end, virtually here, which I'm going to interpret as no motion to approve. I almost would have rather had a vote and have us all vote no, but as this stands, we have no motion to approve, which means, I guess, gentlemen, you can take that as we want to hold off. We have our counselor online, Dean Strickland. Strickland? I know he was trying to be with us.
You see if I can do it on the phone.
No, that's all right. I just wanted to confirm that this is the appropriate way to handle this, and I think we're good. So we did not have a motion for action on that. Levance, we'll go back to you. Is there further discussion of your budget review?
No, ma'am, that was really what we were needing some guidance on, is just if we need to move ahead with those two items. Do you have anything else, Harley?
No, that's all I need to know, because we had to get the bids out now. There was discussion on whether we should or not, so I just needed a yes or no. So
I heard you all say that this basically, both of these would be summer projects. If for any reason, when we roll around towards the Christmas break, if you reconsider that and you think it might be a Christmas project, you could bring this forth for discussion again. Otherwise, I guess we'll look for this sometime the same time of year next year, midwinter, late winter. All right, we'll move to section 7, which are our report items.
This is usually our report items. As I said, I think I told you earlier, obviously our agenda, because of the circumstances, very, very streamlined. We're going to bypass principal reports and a lot of the typical reports that we do present. I think Harbin's facilities and operation report, as well as Levance's financial reports for February, are posted. You have those, and rather than go through those, if it's okay, if you have any questions or have any clarifications, certainly let Harbin, Levance, or myself know, and we'll get that to you. But I think at this point we can move forward. You can have those reports for your review, and if you have any questions, let us know.
I'd like to add to that this agenda has been posted since April 6th, or maybe 2nd, I forget the date, and we should have all had a chance to study this agenda. Did any board members come to this meeting with questions on facilities or finance? I'm not hearing any, and as Dr. Smith said, you can certainly circle up with them if questions come to mind. That moves us to item number 8, the items for discussion.
First item is the disposition of the old Pierce County High School, and we want to continue to keep this discussion current. And what I'd like to do tonight, we know it's board, and I think we all realize that there's going to have to be a decision made on this, probably sooner than later. I'm not bringing a recommendation tonight to you, but I do want Harbin to share with you, I think, what is very important information and relevant information for you to know is we moved into the new facility officially on Monday, January the 13th, with students and staff. And that was first day of operation. And how much money, has been spent since January 13th when we moved into the new facility? How much has been spent by the system on the existing or the old high school facility? Now, most of this is going to be in the area of utilities and utility costs. There is some insurance cost and other involved. So I'd like Harbin and Levance to share this information with you. This is exact to this date. How much have we, the system, incurred as far as costs and expenses to the existing facility? Harbin?
Actually,
Or
Levance has that information.
Levance?
As far as the total amount paid and billed as of today for the old high school, it's $32,656.54. That's composed of basically three things: power, $25,689.89; gas, $6,734.15, and the insurance to date for that facility, $232.50.
Thank you.
We provided this information, keep the board apprised. If it pleases the board and for transparency, we can add this to our monthly financial reports, just a breakdown of the pieces that make up that total.
I think that's probably a good idea until we reach a decision.
Okay.
As we've done with other things, Levance, could you have each month's amount and then a total so that we can see the trend data?
Sure.
Board members, do you have any questions or comments concerning this information or about our decision of what to do with the old high school?
But I think that's a good idea to keep up with it and kind of see exactly what it's being spent on.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think it would also be a good idea to, at least for myself, to wrap my head around some of this, is to get an itemized list of the cost, and the cost different from what it was originally to the cost where we're at now. From whatever it was from the first time we got a bid to where we are now. Why, what has grown up so much? I would like to see that. Plus, I think it wouldn't hurt to get other people in here to give us a price on saving the gym or tearing it down, even whichever one we decide to do. But I don't think we just need to go with the one bid from the one company that's placed it and say, yeah, that's what we want to do. I think there needs to be an itemized list and some transparency there with why it's gone up. And I'm not saying that it hasn't. I just want to know why it's gone up.
I'm just a little bit confused. Forgive me, but I'm a little bit confused. What we've provided is just simply the monthly costs from January, February, March, and right here at the beginning of April. These figures that I've shared with you is not a bid. It's just simply cost we incurred from Georgia Power, from the natural gas company, and little piddly amount on our insurance.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that. That's perfectly okay. That's totally all right. I get where you're at there. I'm talking about for the overall decision of what we are to do with the old high school. Why has it, why was there an increase from whenever, I don't remember when it was, that we got the first original bid to tear it down versus, I remember, I think if I'm not mistaken, there were 3 different ways that Mike Parker presented this to us almost a year ago in a board meeting. There were 3 different, and all those have gone up. So I just, that's what I was talking about for the overall picture of what we are to do for the high school in general for, long term.
Well, we can do whatever is the pleasure of the board, but a couple of things as far as the pricing that we have been given. It wasn't so much SP Design saying, hey, here's 3 options. We asked for 3 different options: saving the entire building, saving a portion of the building, and saving only the gym. And so that's where the price is budgetary. These are not bids. These are simply just budgetary prices that were provided. And as far as the difference in price, depending upon what you want, if you want the building to match the new building with brick veneer and all that kind of stuff, well, that changes the scope of the project and changes the price. The other thing, as you pointed out, and I think it's a very astute point, that 3 years ago or 3.5 years ago, we got budgetary pricing on that. And the construction market has changed dramatically. The high school that we built for under $30 million, because it was planned and bid some time ago, if you were to build that same building today, I'm told from talking with our construction manager, it would be a $40 million job. That's a 33% increase. That's huge. So that's a lot of what's going on here. But certainly, whatever the board would like to have looked at as far as different budgets, we probably need to provide a little clearer picture of exactly what the board is interested in, because we have from, I don't know if you can see my hands, we have from little to great big. So in the fairness of everybody that's involved in this conversation, I think we probably need to provide a little more clarity about exactly what it is the board wants to accomplish.
Let me try to clarify what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna try to. When someone on the street comes up to me and says, "I saw in the newspaper where to keep the old high school is going to be $3 million versus it was going to be $1 million." I don't know the exact numbers. Just stay with me. I don't want to look somewhat uneducated when I say I really can't tell you. They just said it went up that much. I just want, this is education for me. I want to know why there's been a 33% increase. I mean, that's just, I agree there's been an increase, and I also agree there's going to probably continue to be increases. I get that. I just want to know where they were at.
Well,
does that make more sense? Does that, I mean,
and I'm hoping that the example I gave you with our high school, it went from being a $30 million project If you were to build it today, I'm told it would be a $40 million project. Well, that's increasing it by, a third.
Yes.
But it also depends on what it is you're looking for as far as, are you talking about offices? Are you talking about veneers, the type of mechanical equipment that you want? If you tear down some pieces, you've got to build in some infrastructure. So it really just depends on what it is you're seeking to accomplish.
Like, for instance, whenever we built our first house, we got the original bid, and regardless of whether we asked for whatever, I'm just saying this is an example. By the time we got the house built, the price for concrete had already gone up like $8 a yard or something. Even the price of doorknobs had gone up. But whenever my wife asked me, why is this more than it was to begin with, I said, well, the concrete went up and the doorknobs went up. That's what I'm saying. That's all I want is basic education on why this is going up that much.
I think you just actually answered that question with what you just said. Your question, when those prices, we had three options that were given to us 3 years ago, and that was the original estimate. I think the option that the board decided to go with, that is now looking at that $3.3 million, was originally, I believe, around 2.6, but that was 3 years ago. So the numbers were updated 3 years later, and that's where you just have natural inflation. For instance, block pricing, when we started building the school, the cost for laying a concrete block was, I think, $2.35 a block.
Yeah.
And now that price is, you're looking close to $6.50 or better per block. I mean, that's the difference in the pricing, the budget that was given to us 3 years ago versus what it is to do the same work today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference. That's why the increase, and that's the only time it has increased, to my knowledge, that we asked him to update the numbers, give us the latest today's numbers on the same amount of work that was decided 3 years ago.
And we've also had the tariffs on metals, copper, steel, all of the things that you do whenever you start tearing down and rebuilding buildings. All of that stuff has gone up dramatically. And so, the numbers that I think we've been given just for a budgetary discussion, I think are numbers that are conservative. In other words, I think it would cover the entire scope. Could we, when we bid it, might it be a little cheaper?
Mm-hmm.
I think probably so, because the same thing happened when we built our high school. We had some budgetary numbers. We got it down to what we thought was our stated maximum. And then when we bid it, we ended up getting it a little bit cheaper. Now, do I think that if we took that project and we bid it, that we'd come in $1.5 million cheaper? No, I don't think that would happen. But, we've kind of talked about some of the reasons why it's going up, but we can certainly, I guess the first question we've got to find out is, do we need to spend the time and the money getting additional quotes from, or digging in with our current architect and getting a different quote, or other architects before we need to go down that road and spend those dollars? I think we need to go through, are we going to do something with that facility, or is that facility going to be taken down? I really don't think it would be wise to spend a lot of money on developing plans if the majority of the board and or the public decide that it needs to come down. So we need to have some clarity on where we're going with that.
Levance?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to chime in here. The reason we have this on the agenda monthly is to keep the dialogue going and to make sure board member questions are answered. However, this discussion started before this pandemic situation. So like everything else, I'm wondering if this discussion should just be put on pause as well. And I would ask that question, what's the downside to pausing this decision until we see what the budget impact is of the pandemic?
The only, just from where I'm sitting financially, the only thing that we need to be aware of is the way we currently have the high school operating is costing money each month. So it's not a giant amount of money, but in 3 months, it's, turned up $30,000. That does not give any direct benefit to the kids. But from the standpoint of should we spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to take it down at this point in time, or certainly should we look at spending $1.5 to $3.5 million to do something else with it? We're spending a lot of money on that facility right now. I do think would not be a good idea because we may need that money to make bond payments. We may need that money to take some other pressure off the general fund by moving some things that we can into it. So that's a good point.
Do I, by any chance, sense a willingness on the part of the board to bring this to a vote? Would anyone like to amend the agenda to bring it to a vote today?
A vote on what?
Yeah, what are we voting on?
Well, someone would have to make a motion.
And I don't see why it's costing so much when no one's in it, myself. I don't understand that.
Let's talk about that a little bit. The highest part is the power and the gas. What gas is needed in there while it's not being used?
Well, we have a couple of things. As far as the gas, there is $1,533.98 every month that is, whether we burn 1 BTU of gas or not, is just the cost of having gas hooked to the building.
Well, can we just shut that off? Let's just close that account.
Can we do that?
Rehook it back up if we decide.
Local field house. Some of that gas is going to the field house. So we would have to modify some of our heating units at the field house to not burn natural gas. There's and those fees Levance talking about, they're kind of ridiculous sometimes. You got tariff fees, just gas line maintenance charges that they hit with.
Yeah, just to let you know what those are, you've got an interstate pipeline capacity charge. That's $963. That's just part of having the gas. And then you also have a base charge, $571.06. That's just to have the gas hooked to the facility.
So let me just parse that out a second. If we continue providing gas to the field house, even if we tear the old school down, we would still have those costs?
If we were going to do natural.
Yeah.
But if we disconnected that and used propane, we could do that, and that would eliminate those charges.
Well, between now and next month, why don't y'all research the possibility of doing that?
You can do that.
So
And,
that's $6,000 over 3 months. How about the power? $25,000.
The power, when we first started, we still had a little bit of activity in there, and that first month was $73.88, the amount of power. It did go down to $47.86. One of the challenges that we have, though, is that when you get below a certain load, a certain amount of consumption, there are charges for being below the contract amount of usage. And that's something Harbin's going to check on for us. He's gotten a rate change for us, and the $8,700 charge, it's a quarterly charge, was for the period prior to us moving out and right there after it. So we're hoping that that $8,700 charge for that quarter will not happen in future quarters. He's going to work with Georgia Power on that. But we're still looking at our current power bill is $4,815. That's just for power.
And that, if we, and I know the first natural response, so let's just turn off the power. And we can't. But if you realize if we do that, we're running everything very much, again, just to keep the walls and the furnishings and the furniture that's in there from growing mold and mildew, and the place just, the humidity's from getting out of control inside. So if we completely cut the power off, everything that's in there now is gonna, within a month or two, definitely two, you're gonna start seeing some degradation. And we do have the equipment in there, all the desks, all the furnishings that we, have surplus. Well, haven't voted declared surplus yet, but all that, the list, you have that. We need to get that stuff out of there before we completely turn off all the power and try to shut it down. I would not recommend it. And we have cut back, like I said, we cut back drastically, gone from $7,000 power bill to, $4,800. And we can trim that a little bit, but it's just that building and that equipment, those transformers, and the type of equipment that's in there, like it has what's called ghost power. Just the fact that there's power running through some of this stuff, these panel boxes, these things are burning power, whether they're doing anything or not.
Also
Whether they have lights on.
Something's minimally protecting the floor.
And it has, and you're correct, and at the gym floor, of course, there's some protection going on from that. So we do shut everything off. Just know that's going to happen. You're going to pretty much have, within a couple of months, everything that's inside that building is going to start going downhill very quickly.
Harbin, I have a question.
Sure.
Is the power that's going to the school, is there anything else, like with the natural gas that's being used somewhere else? Are we running the greenhouse pumps or whatever?
The greenhouse.
Or the field house?
The ag barn and the greenhouse is on that, the electrical, but not a lot of use really going on there. Those two.
Well, right. I know there's not, but I didn't know if the lights in the baseball field or pumps or whatever maybe.
No, so they're not. They all have their own individual meters and transformers, as well as the even the band lights and the Gateway building. That is on its own meter as well. The only other thing that's running off of the old high school itself, side of the building itself, would be the ag barn and greenhouse, and the deep well. The deep well provides water for the greenhouse and ag barn.
Okay, the other question that I had, Harbin, is, when you and I went over to the school, those transformers that were all burning, all buzzing, can we leave the air conditioner on and turn the rest of them transformers off and then quit burning all that juice?
Again, I can maybe turn some of them off, but the only problem is the way the power is run through that school. It's a big school and a long school, and located in different areas. If I turn some of those transformers off, the air handling units that are running the fans and circulating the pumps to air condition those areas, they're on those transformers. It's not like there's one or two transformers in the whole school and just the air conditioner's only on those, and the lights and everything else is on something else, which it was, but it's not, unfortunately. Like, for instance, the one in the welding shop that was really buzzing, really loud, noisy, that one's feeding the deep well and the, I'm sorry, it's not feeding the deep well, it's feeding the greenhouse in the ag barn. The deep well is actually being fed on one that's up in the, Dreamer's area, the office area up front, in the old chorus room where that transformer's at. Like I say, there's so much, the way that building is wired, there's so many step-down transformers in different locations. If I turn some of them off, you're gonna lose air in some part of the building. It's a big messed up puzzle, it's all interlaced together.
Any other board members, questions or discussion? I would add in here that part of our discussion in recent months was this money that we're spending as we wait. And in the current budgetary times with the pandemic, I think that's even more important than it was in the discussions we've had in the previous few months. It's important that we be good stewards of the money that we have. Let's move to 8B, the school system status during this shutdown.
Just want to keep you up to date. We had a meeting this morning, virtual meeting with the leadership team, principals and directors and coordinators this morning, and settled on some dates and some procedural items going forward. Obviously, we're closed by governor order the rest of the school year, but that doesn't mean that activity is not ongoing. Doesn't mean that learning and teaching and a lot of things are still going on in the school system. They are. What I'm planning on doing, I wanted to get past this board meeting tonight, make sure there wasn't any loose ends. Tomorrow, or certainly by Wednesday, probably tomorrow, I'll be drafting and it's getting out a statement, a kind of an update statement to the community and the staff tomorrow. That'll be posted. Just identifying some of the determinations that we made today. Just to give you an idea, I think most of you are aware of a lot of this, but we are continuing, the staff is focusing in on, in the midst, this can be very challenging, but in the midst of the circumstances we're in, they're continuing to provide instructional and learning opportunities for our kids and our families. The big challenge, obviously, are those that do not have access, do not have electronic devices, that do not have internet and Wi-Fi access. And we have a significant amount of those, but the staff has done, from the principals indicate, and the staff has done a wonderful job of reaching out and communicating with all of our families. That is ongoing. Communication is absolutely vital. That our families and our students are being communicated with, and making sure that they're okay and they're in, what are they in need of. We are in position to provide that. So that's ongoing. We had talked about today of as we go on through April. Now that we're back from spring break, not a lot went on last week. That was a traditional break, but now we're gearing back up and looking at May the 1st is kind of a cutoff point to begin to get online work, packets, written information, anything that the teachers have been providing for our students to start getting that turned in and submitted. Our dual enrollment students, the last day that they will close out will be May the 6th. And of course, their program is driven by the college program that they're in. And so we wanted to kind of identify, be consistent with May the 1st, and then ultimately close kind of everything out grade-wise and assignment-wise on May the 8th. And so we're going to set up some opportunities for our families to bring in either if they can't communicate with us electronically, they can turn in packets and turn in written information to us. Each school will have a receptacle out in the entrance of each school that during the week of the 4th through the 8th that parents, families can turn that in. And our approach with grades can only help a student, they cannot harm a student. And so we've agreed that the grades that they had at the end of the third 9 weeks, which was in mid-March before we closed, our first official closure day was March the 17th. We were fortunate that we had finished a 9-week grading period a couple of days before that. We're going to cut the grades off at that point. We have several students, many students that need an improvement in their grade, and we're giving them an opportunity to do that. Obviously, we're focusing in on our graduating seniors as well. So we will be Dealing with the grade issue, promotion and retention. Those decisions will need to be made. The criteria that's been made, those decisions have always been made, but the criteria for promotion and retention will not be having any milestone testing, any testing criteria, because we're not testing. That's all been waived. So most of that is going to be made by what their grade was at the end of the third 9 weeks, and then whatever additional learning resources that they've turned in between now and then. The principals will be generating those decisions on a case-by-case basis, and then those decisions will be communicated to the parents and the families no later than May the 22nd. And so they'll be making those phone calls and contacts by email to those parents by May the 22nd on promotion and retention. And report cards will be mailed out. We're going to mail those out to everyone this year. They'll be ready to be mailed out on Thursday, May the 28th. So obviously parents won't be asked to come in. We won't have students be given those report cards. We're going to incur some cost in mailing those out to each and every family on May the 28th. Pre-K and kindergarten registration will be, right now, has been postponed. It will be rescheduled at a point in time in the future. We don't have that date yet. We still are receiving directives and guidance from the DOE, and that is one of the areas that we'll get some guidance from them. Our special education students, William, I think is on is in this meeting, but he his staff are reaching out to each and every one of those students and their families to make sure that they stay on track and in progress with their IEPs. A lot of questions about graduation. We have not officially canceled May the 22nd, but it's very, very doubtful that we're going to be able to assemble 3,000 people in the stadium on Friday night, May the 22nd, and have any form of graduation. We will officially declare our seniors graduated on May the 22nd, and we'll need to do that for transcripts and other purposes. We are committed to having a graduation, and so once we get the clearance, and once we are prayerful and hopeful that that will happen some point, maybe in June or July, we're committed to reschedule a graduation ceremony with our seniors at the point in time when our state and local and national leaders and public health folks say that it is safe to hold any type of graduation ceremony. We want to do that for our students. They deserve that. We are going to tell with Ms. Bennett, Darren's going to work on maybe some ceremonial thing to do on Friday, May the 22nd at 7:30, which would be the time that we would be graduating. I think we will turn on the stadium lights, maybe have some signage, maybe have some things out at the stadium just in tribute to the class of 2020, and maybe burn the lights for 20 minutes, do some different things maybe that evening. But we hope as we go forward, we'll come back and the first opportunity to schedule a graduation, we're going to do that. Even if it's on into July, we want to do that, and we want to at least have that, have our students experience that opportunity. So that's a lot of the focus today is grading, grade reporting, promotion, retention, how things are going to shape out. We want to be consistent. We want all 5 schools to be doing the same thing as far as a lot of their grading, particularly at the 3 elementary schools. They need to be certainly consistent and everybody on board. Our feeding program also has been a very big part of what our services have been providing for our community. That's going to change starting this week. We're going to go to a 1 day a week process and format on Thursdays at the high school, at Patterson, and Midway at the cafeterias. Families will be given the opportunity to come in from 4 o'clock to 6 p.m., a 2-hour period to come pick up boxes of food that will be provided for them for the entire week. We're no longer going to take buses out to deliver. We felt like we're just putting our bus drivers, our volunteers, our food staff, our students and our families potentially in danger of spreading the virus by doing that. So parents and families are going to come in. We're going to have a special setup where they can pick up a box of food that will get them through the week, starting every Thursday. So we'll start that this Thursday, see how things go. We hope it goes well. We intend to continue that through the rest of the closure, through the rest of the school year, and hopefully everything goes well there. So that just kind of keeps you kind of up to speed on where we are. Obviously, dynamics and the circumstances change, and they'll continue to change, but we're trying to stay ahead of it, trying to communicate, trying to keep the staff, trying to keep everybody communicated and up to date on where things are. As I said, I'll be sending out a statement that'll be posted tomorrow afternoon on just giving the parents. I think it's a lot of value in knowing what these dates are and what these deadlines are and how we're going to approach some of these things. So just wanted to kind of give you an update on that. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
No.
This moves us into our dates to
I've got.
Go ahead, Jack. You have a question?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. And I guess mainly I've got one at the high school, so I see Dara. Hey, Dara. And I want to make sure that, you know, having 5 or 6 different teachers, however many he's got, I'm not sure, that each one of them is reachable by the student, whether it's a set time of every day or I'm not sure the best way to do it, but maybe Derek can explain a little bit about how the teachers are going to maintain some contact with the kids. One, with the kids that obviously want to stay involved and improve their grade, and 2, the other kids who say, you know what, I got a 97 and I'm happy and I don't want to do anything. Is there a way for the students to maintain ongoing contact with their instructors?
Yes, the teachers were supposed to a couple of weeks ago have called all their students. And then after that, we were really focusing on trying to identify our students that are failing and give them the opportunity if they didn't have Google Classroom or ability to connect to the internet to get work to them. So they've been doing that. We've mailed probably $300 worth of packets to students at their homes. And then the other teachers that I've been talking to are continuing to try to reach out through Google Classroom. So the best way for a student to contact their teacher anytime is to email them through their Google account, their Google email.
Okay.
And all teachers should be responding. If they're not, I would love to hear that. I know that this is a hard time for all of us to connect at sometimes, but that is the expectation that they are available. We even broke it down to whenever they do their online lessons, if they do Google lessons, the departments decided what time of day they would do it, so a student could attend all the lessons and no department would overlap with another one.
Right.
You have a time of day even when they're supposed to be available to help students or to do their lessons, which would allow a student to do math, language arts, science, and social studies without overlapping with each other. So definitely tell him to email his teachers, and if you have any problems at all, please let me know. I'll be back out to our teachers this week. We've been doing virtual meetings like this, but when you have about 65 teachers, it's a lot more difficult to see everybody and to get everybody involved. But I do know that they've been sending a lot of work because we asked them to email the administrators the packets, and we'd be responsible for mailing those. And we've been real busy. My assistant principals, because I've been quarantined, I think the first day I volunteered to do it, I couldn't do it. I had to call them and ask them to do it. But they've been mailing a lot, and then by May 1st, we want to get those packets back and grade them. Everything we've said at the high school, though, is nothing that happens now since that last day of school should be done to hurt a student's grade. We only want to provide work that will help bring the grade up, but definitely not to be detrimental to them. And so we're trying to make sure that we know that.
Great, because I know it's hard. You got however many teachers you've got there, 100 and whatever, and
We have 100 total people, but about 75.
100. That's right. And you got 1,100 kids, and so it can go sideways on you real quick. And I know you're staying on top of it as much as you can from your house there, and it's hard.
I went back to the office today, so I'll be back in more now, but definitely having a connection with the teachers is important right now. So they'll be encouraged to connect with the students. And so Google and the email through the school is definitely the best way for him to email any of his teachers. And if they don't respond, please let me know.
Right. I wasn't talking specifically about my son. I just know we got a lot of them out there.
Oh yeah, for that, right.
We don't want 200 of them all of a sudden not being able to reach their teachers, because then we got a headache on our hands.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other board members?
It might be good too, Dr. Smith, on your announcement that you put that please, if you can't get hold of a teacher, to please email the principal of the school.
Yeah.
So that we can make sure we connect the dots, hopefully.
Absolutely. Also, I think maybe Mitch, you may have a question, or a couple of board members. I did have an opportunity to just in constant contact with DOE and GHSA and other superintendents. And I think the question, at our meeting was there any thought of allowing spring athletes to have another year of eligibility? And the answer to that is no. The GHSA has no plans, absolutely no plans to extend any eligibility. It was just one of those unfortunate things with kids that lost the spring seasons. But unlike the NCAA, they will not be extending any eligibility beyond this year. It's just unfortunately one of the detriments of the circumstances. But I did get that definitive answer. GHSA has absolutely no plans for that whatsoever.
And that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. It really does. And I'm good with that. My only question is, would the kids be allowed, and I've already had this question, but what's going to be the policy on kids holding, or parents wanting to hold kids back so they can have that extra year of eligibility? Have another. Would that affect them going forward?
Well, for the high school, they can't, because we base it on credits. So a parent, once they get 28 credits, we deem them graduated, they can't hold themselves back. It's different.
Okay.
And then the other grades, like 9 through 11, it goes on their credits, and they would be eligible as long as they're a high school student. So that would only pertain to seniors that try to retain themselves. I know parents want their kids to play ball, but I think they want them to go to college and do all those things, get jobs and everything else after they graduate. Have you heard any that don't want to, that are seniors that don't want to graduate this year?
Not seniors, but there's a few juniors that do.
Well, now with juniors, see, that goes back to the credit situation, so they would be able to play next year. But
that was my only question, was how would all that work? I didn't know if
the only way they could the only way they could do that is if they failed everything and didn't get the 28 credits, but that would be so detrimental to their transcripts and preparing for college or jobs after high school. I really don't think they'll do that.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other discussion about the closure of the school, gentlemen?
No, but Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Yes.
And this may be a question for our counselor, and don't anybody shoot me, but I can't live with this if I'm not good with the decision or no decision that was made a minute ago. Is there any way we can go back and at least have a motion or second to discuss the playground and stuff? I'm just not good with that. I apologize. I should have done it before, but I really was I needed a minute to process some things, and I didn't know if there was any way we could go back and amend the agenda to talk about it again.
You talking about the capital projects, Nick?
Yeah, I'm talking about the capital projects, the track and the walkway at Midway.
So Dean Strickland has texted me during the meeting. He is able to listen, but he, for some reason, doesn't have audio. Dean, if you would text me, I'll look at my phone here and see if we should revisit this, or according to Robert's rules, how we should handle this request
'Cause it
by a board
failed,
member.
it failed on lack of a second first time, is that correct?
It didn't,
No,
no,
lack
I
of
made her,
motion. It was a
Dean's
lack of
calling
motion.
me. Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
Dean's calling me.
Next minute.
All right. The information I have from our council is that as the chair, I can make a decision whether or not to entertain Mitch's concern. And out of respect for Mitch, I would like to do so.
Thank you.
So in order to do that, we would need to once again amend our agenda. And I guess for Avis's point of view here, I don't even know what we call it, Avis. I guess let's call it 8C. That's kind of a weird place to put it. And Mitch, would you like to, let's see, first let's do a motion that we're willing to amend.
So
Do I
moved.
have that's from Mitch. A second, please?
Second, Dewar.
Mr. Deward, any discussion on whether or not we amend the agenda? Are we all okay with that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone object? Okay, Mitch, would you like to, we need to get a motion and a second, and then we can have discussion. So Mitch, would you make a motion?
So I make a motion that we proceed forward in what we've already approved in the playground, or not the playground, excuse me, the walkway at Midway and the track at the middle school.
Could I have a second, please? For the
Aye.
purpose of discussion.
I'll second it. for
Second.
discussion.
Jack.
I heard Deward first, so we have a motion from Mitch and a second from Deward. Now we'll open it up for additional discussion, and the person who made the motion goes first. So
Yeah.
Mitch, what would you like to say?
My only thing is, if this is not gonna hurt us going forward, which if I'm understanding correctly, it's not. We've already approved this. Both of them have been told that it's gonna be done, and I know we're in a pandemic, but listen, we're gonna get through it. God's gonna get us through it. We've told these people we're gonna do something we need to do.
Okay, who else would like to discuss?
Do you think we would be safe with both of them, or with just maybe the covered walk? What, you know, I know we had approved both of them previously, but what's your thoughts on that? Levance may want to chime in on that.
As far as the capital projects funds, as I said earlier, really it's just a matter of, what the board wants to do at this point in time. We do have some money in our capital projects funds in 302. It's just a matter of, do we want to wait and see where we are as far as the economy spinning back up, where our SPOS revenues go, if they go up or go down. These two projects total $300,000. At least that's what we have budgeted. Of course, we won't know until we get bids back for sure. So it really is entirely how comfortable the board is with doing these projects at this time. If they want to, we can do them. And we will have some money in our capital projects. If our revenues are too low and we have to supplement to make our bond payments. It's just how comfortable you are with how much is enough.
Other board members? Anyone
Well,
else?
Madam Chairman,
Yeah, go ahead.
Madam
ahead, Chip.
Chairman, I could probably be good with the covered walkway, and I don't want to spend an entire $300,000 at this time.
Chip, would you like to offer an amended motion?
Wouldn't Mitch have to make that motion be amended?
Yeah, Mitch could withdraw his, or, no, we don't, we already got a second. We got to vote on it.
Yeah, I think we got to vote on.
Which we could make another motion,
To do both.
right? Couldn't we?
Chip is wanting to.
Yeah.
I think,
just-
it's a good question. I don't know, Mitch, maybe you might want to just, if you're willing to rescind,
I am
And
willing to
maybe-
stand, so let me do
and
this.
then maybe you, Mitch, then you could offer the amended motion.
Okay. First off, I'll make a motion that we rescind my original motion to do both. Now, however you want to say that, I don't.
That sounds good. Motion to rescind made by Mitch. Who wants to second that?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dewart. All those in favor of rescinding the original motion?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mitch, would you like to offer an amended motion?
Yes, I would like to make the motion that we amend the agenda to, wait, am I amending the agenda? What am I amending? I just made a motion that we do the walkway at Midway.
Yes. So approve the walkway only at Midway.
Correct.
Okay, I'll second that.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? And does everybody understand where we are? At that point, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of proceeding with the covered walkway at Midway?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Do I hear any, opposition? Take that as unanimous. Thank you. Mitch, I'm sure the folks at Midway, the staff, the students, and the parents appreciate you bringing this back around for our discussion.
Miss Linda, I'm sorry, but who seconded Mitch's request to approve the walkway?
Do it.
Okay, thank you.
I think this whole transaction has all been Mitch and Dewart all the way through.
I'm sorry, Dewart.
I appreciate
No, we're
it.
good. Good teamwork, good guys. I believe then, as I follow our agenda, we're at the dates to remember. And that's very straightforward.
And that's pretty self-explanatory, but I would, if it's okay, Harbin would like to just give the board a quick, he should have done this during his report, but just a quick update on the memorial benches transition project to the new high school, if that's all allowed. If we could just give him just a quick update on what that project is and where that is.
Yes, sir, thank you. Harbin, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I should have mentioned it earlier, but kind of not giving the report. I believe my report says that the concrete sidewalk area that the benches were going to be set on next to the tennis court should have happened last week over spring break. The contractor, with everything going on with everyone else, the pandemic and different jobs and having to shuffle around and close and can't get places, he was not able to do that last week. We're going to try to do that this week. So again, I just want to make the board aware that my report did reflect that it was happening last week. Now it's supposed to happen this week. So if you go out there, you're not going to see the move yet. So that's my point.
Thank you for the clarification. Anything else, Hardman?
No, ma'am.
Bleachers is ongoing.
Yeah, bleachers they're still working on the bleachers.
Dr. Smith, anything else about the self-explanatory dates?
No, just our next work meeting at May 7th and regular board meeting on May the 11th.
All right.
And
Then,
those will be
and
my,
a mo-
those will be my final meetings.
your final meetings. Okay, we'll take note of that. Thank you. In a moment, we'll go into executive session. And if we were meeting in person, we would tell folks they're free to leave. And I think I would say the same thing tonight. Those of you who are not in executive session, you don't need to stick around if you don't want. We will return to open session only for the purpose of taking action on personnel. And Avis, as is Avis's practice in the past, she would send out an email to the press and to our leadership telling what the personnel actions are tonight. That will work for you, Avis?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions before we go into executive session? So what we'll do is we will, board members, if you are here on a video, you can pause it, your audio and your video. If you're only on phone, I think you just plain disconnect. And we have a different link to go to for our executive session. So at this time, I'll take a motion, please, to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel.
Just mute your.
So moved.
Was that, please?
Here's what Chip.
Chip, thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Jack. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We'll call that unanimous. We will exit this meeting and log into our executive session.
Miss Linda, I do recommend that all the board members leave this meeting to go to the other one.
Board members, we have a recommendation by our technology person, David Pittman, that you actually exit this meeting.
Then you can read.
So I told you incorrectly about. So if you have not already done, so when we get in the next meeting, I'll announce that again.
I don't know if I'm not exited yet, am I?
You're not, dude. You're still in. Just hit, click the, there you go.
Hey, David. David Pittman.
Yes.
Hey, David.
Yes.
Hey, I didn't want to say anything until all of them left. Now, are they going to come back into this same platform when they come out?
Yes, it'll be in the same meeting.
Okay, well, I'm gonna mute and take off my video until they get back.
That sounds good.
David. David.
Yes. Yes.
Hello?
I'm back. Avis and David, can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, I must be back then. Good deal.
You're back.
All right.
All right, all right.
Yeah. Counselor back.
Yes, sir, Kevin. Oh, Lord.
We got Chip again. I'm hanging up on you, Chip.
Okay, Mick, thank you.
Hey,
Chip, I
Figure it
see
out.
your picture. I see
figure it
your
out as
picture.
you go.
I can see you now, Chip.
Oh,
Tip your-
yeah.
Tip your hat to me there. There you go. Hey.
We have Deward,
Yes, ma'am.
we have Jack,
No, ma'am.
we have Chip,
Yes, ma'am.
we have Mitch,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Strickland.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we are missing Jack.
That's it.
We'll wait just a moment, maybe he'll make it.
He's pretty technical savvy, so.
Got Jack yet?
I do not see Jack.
There he is.
Now we got him. Jack, are you in? Hello, Jack.
He says he's having trouble getting back in.
I can see he's in the meeting now, but he's got himself muted.
Okay.
Okay, you can tell. All right. So at this time, I'll take a motion to return to return to open session.
So moved. Deward.
Second, please. Second from Chip. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Okay, let's do the action on personnel first, Dr. Smith.
I'd like to make a recommendation to the board that we approve Molly Boatwright as a teacher, classroom teacher at Blackshear Elementary School for the 2020-21 school year.
Do you want to include the other item as well?
Well, I was going to come back at our next meeting and do that. We talking about the other item is that's the only item that we have. The supplement item was going to come, with some additional language.
Right, that's right.
You don't need that vote today. I thought we were separating that. You don't need that vote at this meeting?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so we have just the one personnel item.
Just the one, yes.
Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Chip, thank you, Chip.
Chip and Mitch. And make, make sure, you know, they know there's no relation there as far as I know.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the second. Who gave us the second on that?
Mitch.
All right. All those in favor? Say aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. At this time, I would like us to agree to amend the agenda. Could I have a motion to agree to amend?
So moved, Mitch.
Thank you. A second?
Do it.
Stewart, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. Dr. Smith, are you prepared to make this recommendation?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to recommend to the board that with the selection of the next high school or the principal position at Pierce County High School, that individual, whoever the selection is, will go on a 1-year contract like all the other administrators and all the staff members in the system, and will not be on a 3-year contract.
Thank you, sir. We have the superintendent's recommendation. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
That Mitch?
Yep.
May I have a second?
Second.
And who's that, Jack?
Jack, I'm sorry.
Any discussion? I think that I'll have some discussion on this. It's my understanding that that is the best practice throughout the state of Georgia. That's how it's generally done. Apparently, a exception has been made in Pierce County through the last 2 administrations, but we have discovered that that is not the common practice, and Pierce County the board wishes to return to the previous practice.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? We decided to take the action at tonight's meeting so that it would not have any bearing on the administration's choice of who to interview or who the choice is, so that it wouldn't be a personal reflection on any applicant. Okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none. Avis, this addition, I guess, would be as a 12A in the minutes.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Do it.
I'll take it from Deward, and the second from whom?
Chip.
Chip. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen, for putting up with technology. Good job.
Good night, guys. You good night.
Good night.
Have a good weekend.
Good night, everybody.
Miss Linda, did you get the time for going back into open session?
9:10.
Thank you.
What time did we go out?